I have sleep apnea, right? So I wear a mask and I'm used to it and it's fine. But I learned that the mask doesn't help if you like turn over on your back and your mouth goes open and then like
Right.
wake up with dry mouth.
So you wear a ball gag?
No. Although some would like that I did that.
Yeah.
But I do the next best thing, which is I put tape over my mouth. But here's what happens. Like if I don't shave appropriately or something happens, like it'll rip pieces of skin up.
You're not
my
kidding.
face.
You actually put tape over your mouth.
Yeah. It's like a freaking Brazilian every morning.
He tells people he's practicing in case he's like kidnapped. They're gonna tape my mouth. I'm gonna be ready.
Do your worst. I have sleep apnea.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey, Carl.
Fantastic. How are you, Carl?
I can't complain, but I do anyway. You know, I got a big old pastrami pickling in the fridge, a brisket.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, you know, it could be euphemistic, couldn't it?
I'm hoping not.
Hoping. I got a big old pastrami.
Pickling
It's pickling in the fridge.
And podcast done.
Yeah, right. We're out of here. All right. So we really only have, what, 4 stories or 4 things to talk about today? So we're going to go a little bit more in depth.
It's been a busy week, but busy for us actually attacking people.
Well, you've been busy attacking people.
We've been busy.
yeah.
Slow news day.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, the first piece of news is that GPT-4 was released on the 14th. And everybody knows who ChatGPT is, right? So this is OpenAI. It's a company that Microsoft has invested in.
I just want to interrupt. I love the fact that Carl just said, we know who ChatGPT is, right? He's already moved over to it's a real person.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Carl, for one, welcomes our alien overlords along with our cyber overlords.
I'm not, so .NET Rocks, we did this show with Grant Barrett from the podcast Away with Words. And he's kind of an IT guy that turned into a lexicographer. He's edited dictionaries. He's written books. And
Wow.
And he understands the intersection of language and technology and all this stuff. And his basic premise is we've had inflection points in technology many, many times in the past. From the ancient Greeks that as soon as people started writing things down on papyrus and they, oh my God, if we write, how are we going to learn anything? Everybody will be stupid because they won't have it in their heads.
So
How
it
do I
started
know?
there.
It started there.
It was their fault.
Yeah.
Damn writers.
And then we have all these other inflection points. And now you, like you said, we know who ChatGPT is. People anthropomorphize this bot. Even though it's not human, it's not going to steal Russian secrets. Who cares if it insults your wife? Like it's not a real person, but people are fooled that it is. And
it's impressive. I did see recently a list of jobs that are going to go away because of ChatGPT, according to...
Is one of them podcast host?
According,
probably. Get
who
out.
knows?
Please.
Who says we're here? But according to ChatGPT, what jobs could it replace? And it went down a whole list of like data entry, and then it explained why humans were terrible at that job. It's like, because they're inaccurate, and like went down the whole list. It was pretty funny to watch.
What Grant said is he thinks that it will probably replace people on the beginner end or the low end of technology. But those specialists, in those with a lot of experience, it's not going to replace. In fact, it's very easy for somebody to get sucked into the lure of asking ChatGPT a question and it coming up with completely inane answers. And then you take that as gospel and just copy and paste it into your documents. That has already happened. And,
but we've gone, it's going to evolve very quickly. So we were talking offline. You said that it's already getting better about not spewing totally false data all the time. That's a big change.
Yeah. So let me give the executive summary that Brian McKay from AppVNext gave me. So we've been limited to about 4,000 words for both input and output. Now we get up to 25,000.
Big jump.
Yep. Impressive reasoning advances. It seems to be able to problem solve a little.
Okay.
I get that's A little more.
Is all we need.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Much safer and somewhat more factual. 40% more likely to stick with the facts. Still room to go there.
So that's what has to get better.
Yeah.
If that keeps getting better on this curve, we'll be okay.
Right.
But it needs to go to the point where it goes and verifies in 3 credible sources.
Yeah.
And it can't use Wikipedia. Just
right.
It needs to be able to be trusted, and that's where it's going to develop. But it'll develop quickly.
Yeah. Well, anyway, and the last bullet point is incredible level of image understanding.
Yeah.
You can take a picture of what's in your fridge, and it can suggest recipes based on what you've got.
That's awesome.
So I can make ring dings because that's all that's in my refrigerator.
You can make ring dings.
I love how Patrick eats like a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
I've got ring dings.
My wife's fighting against that.
You've got ketchup. If you add hot water, you can make soup.
Sweet
tomato soup. That's awesome.
All right. So anyway, ChatGPT 4, new version. We'll add a link to it and we'll move on to the next story. What is the next story?
I think the next story is secrets. Millions and millions of secrets.
Secrets.
So this is an article on helpnetsecurity.com. Massive GitHub analysis reveals that 10 million secrets are hidden in 1 billion commits.
What could go wrong?
Whoa. Holy GitHub, Batman.
Let's unpack that a little bit for those who don't know what a secret is. So secrets, and I say that jokingly, but actually secrets are a terminology. Think of them.
They're different things to different people.
Yeah. Think of these secrets as an API key that gives you access to some endpoints. So for example, in Amazon,
passwords, basically.
Yeah, in Amazon, let's say AWS, your Amazon Web Services. If you want access to a resource, you can get a key, right? And that key represents your access to that resource. Mm-hmm. So if I want to access, say, a database, I could use that key instead of a username and password. So it's almost like these secrets are usernames and passwords combined. And you can then use them to access information that you probably shouldn't. So yeah, 10 million secrets found. That is a lot of secrets.
Well, and this is an example of something you might ask an automated system like ChatGPT to go and do the analysis on, because no person looked at a billion commits. This was an automated process.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I wonder though, if I go to my GitHub repo, not my repo, but my account, can I tell it to look through all my private repos and find secrets?
So that's a good question. I know they say here live monitoring on GitHub has identified over 80% of all exposed secrets are present in developers' personal repositories, and are considered considerable portion of them are actually classified as corporate secrets. So I could see you working on some corporate platform. You add a couple secrets to have access to a database or a resource in the cloud, and then commit it to GitHub and not realize that the secret is in there. We've seen that before. The other interesting thing about secrets is usually they bypass things like 2FA.
Wow.
Because you don't want your application necessarily firing off a 2FA ask for a code if it's, you know what I mean? If it's just code talking to code, you generally don't want to ask them to look at a phone and find an ID.
All right. So while you were saying that, I asked ChatGPT, how can I find out if my GitHub account has private repos containing secrets? And I swear to God, this is the response. To find out if your GitHub account has private repositories containing secrets, you can follow these steps. 1, log in to your GitHub account and go to your dashboard. 2, click on the repositories tab. 3, look for any repositories that are marked private. 4, click on the repository to open it. 5, once you're in the repository, look for any files that may contain secrets such as API keys or passwords. These files are often named with a .env or .config extension. 6, if you find any files that contain secrets, you should immediately remove them from the repository and update the applications. In other words, just go do it yourself. But on line 7, he says, you can also use tools like GitGuardian, TruffleHog, or GitLeaks.
Oh, TruffleHog's awesome.
To scan your repositories for secrets and identify any potential security issues. So,
GitGuardian is the one that this article's talking about.
GitGuardian. Love it.
We use the TruffleHog all the time in pen tests.
TruffleHog. That's just a weird name. Par for the course, though, in this business.
Searches for all the great secrets.
Git leaks. That sounds like a medical problem. Oh, I got a Git leak.
I mean, we're only 5 years away from the names being things like Bleeplorp and stuff like that.
They already are there.
Yeah, right. Because all the
honestly, because
all the weird ones are taken.
Bloodhound is one of the common tools. The Coercer is a fantastic tool. There's a lot of tools out there where you're like, who made these things up? These names. Rubius from Rubius Hagrid.
Wow.
Keeper of keys and grounds at Hogwarts.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So Rubius.
Yeah, but wasn't he known for giving secrets away, though? I mean, that's his thing, right?
He was, and that's exactly what this tool does. So this is should have said that. So Rubius actually, because he had a 3-headed dog named Fluffy, right? Rubius is a manipulation of Kerberos tokens, which is Kerberos is the 3, right? So yeah, you're gonna love the hacker lore of names, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I hadn't made that connection.
All right, pretty cool. Well, we'll keep ChatGPT open for the remainder of this recording in case we need to consult it again. All right, so use Git Guardian and scan your private repos and make sure that you don't have any secrets in there.
Yeah, and just...
because that would be bad, even if they're, private and public. Worse if they're public, but you want to scan your private repos.
Well, so it's been a long time since developers have had the ability to have vaults that'll keep the secrets for you. And so this is kind of like finding SQL injection in a project that's not using parameterized queries. The technology exists to not have to do this, but you have to train people. People have to get knowledgeable about how to use these secrets, because if they don't know how to use them, they're going to take the shortcut of just including them in the code.
Right.
Well, and the other thing I love is they go, developers will say, okay, real quick and dirty, I just put the first version of the application up there. It has secrets below, whatever. Don't worry about it. We'll pull the secrets out before we make the repository public. But
yeah, no good.
Not thinking about the fact that you can see every version of everything that's put up there.
And then the insane billionaire that buys the company fires that engineer before he gets a chance to take the secrets out.
What?
I don't know. Just a scenario I thought might happen.
That's crazy talk, Patrick. Crazy talk.
That's awesome.
Okay, let's move on to Fortinet.
Fortinet.
We've talked about Fortinet before, haven't we?
Oh, yeah.
We do, yeah. We like talking about Fortinet. Fortinet puts out security devices. So, firewalls, VPN devices. There's all sorts of different types of devices that they have.
Hardware.
We have primarily hardware devices, keeping you safe from the wiles of the internet.
Right.
So in this particular issue, there's a critical remote code execution, the ones we love, found in certain Fortinet products. Unknown attackers, so this is actually out in the wild, have used a 0-day exploit, so it hasn't been patched, when it was being used, to abuse a new FortiOS, which is the operating system that runs on the devices, bug, patched this month, so newly patched, targeting government and large organizations. So yeah, here you want to be very careful. The release came out March 7th, so we're looking at less than a week and a half, 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
So if you haven't updated your Fortinet device, you probably want to come out here and update your Fortinet device. So the next question is, how do I know that this affects me? Well, if you're running FortiOS 6.4.12, 7.0.10, 7.2.4, or 6.2.13, you could be affected. So you want to go out and make sure you update to the latest.
Yeah.
Now, is it those or earlier, or is it those or later, or just those 4 versions?
Anything less than that, I would update.
Anything less than that,
it
needs to be updated.
All right.
Just go update anyways. Even if you updated last week, update again.
If there's an update.
Right.
And then when you think you're updated, update.
Updates are like flushing a toilet. It never hurts.
Just Patrick, in case you have a floater of some weight.
I don't know. Where you
I was
come
in the
up
military,
with these things?
man. It never hurts to flush the toilet.
Never hurts to flush it twice. Just in case.
Maybe I'm probably the EPA is going to come after me.
Unless everybody in the building flushes at the same time and then the pipes explode.
Oh,
that's also BS, by the way.
So there's a story. There's a story about that from West Point. Maybe it's on every college, but there supposedly was a story of a guy that got in a fluid dynamics class, got an F on a paper because he said that if...
All right, hang on. I want to hear this, but we have to take a break.
Okay.
Right. So you're going to want to hear this. And then, of course, we have the TikTok mess to deal with. So we'll take a break. We'll come right back for this story from Patrick. All right, we're back. It's Security This Week. I'm Carl Franklin. That's Patrick Hines. He was telling a story, and Dwayne LaFlotte was listening with me. Patrick, back to you.
So there's a story. I don't know if it's apocryphal or if it's true. Maybe every college has this story, but supposedly there was a student, a cadet at West Point back before my time that got an F on a paper in fluid dynamics that he proposed that if you flushed all the toilets and turned on all the spigots in one of the old buildings, the water tank on the roof would blow up, would implode. And so the teacher said, it was a bogus contention and it wasn't provable. And he said, well, what if I can prove it? He says, well, if you could prove it, I'd give you an A. So supposedly he went and got his whole company to turn on all the faucets, flush all the toilets at the same time, and the water tank exploded.
No kidding.
And he got an A, and the biggest punishment they could give for months and months of punishment towards or destroying government property. So I don't know if that's a true story.
Yeah, but in the name of science,
right?
What's wrong? What's wrong with those people? I guess if your scientific experimenting results in damaging property, it's not a good idea.
Let's just say it's a humorless organization.
Oh, well. So don't do that, kids.
Yeah.
Let's talk about TikTok. This is big news. The White House is backing a Senate bill to boost the U.S.'s ability to ban TikTok. And, I just want to say, told ya.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think we called that a long time ago.
We called that a long time ago. In fact, that was one of our most popular episodes. It was called Uninstall TikTok Now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I don't use TikTok. I wouldn't install it on any of my devices. I wouldn't want it installed in any company-owned device, Dwayne.
I don't. TikTok. But that's how I track my target.
He's a dancer. What are you talking about?
But it's a tough thing to ban something that's a commercial product that people, you can warn people typically and say, hey, this is, dangerous. But if people want to be stupid, you can order people not to put it on government systems and company systems, but banning it outright is kind of a difficult, I don't know if it's a slippery slope or what.
Well, there's a proposal in the works, and there's a company in Texas, I think, that is going to manage it under this plan. Guess who that company is? Oracle.
Oh, really?
Probably the most evil company I can think of in the United States. They would have control over TikTok. Oh, yeah, that'll work.
Which would make them good in Russia.
Well, and it's crazy, too, because it's not just like the bill proposes TikTok, yes, but it also says this would also apply to foreign technologies from China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, Venezuela, and Cuba. So it's not just TikTok. The bill's a little bit more widespread than that.
Well, it's targeting TikTok, though. That's their active target. They'll use it for other things.
It's targeting TikTok, but it opens up the question of, well, hey, this app came from North Korea. Of course, you wouldn't install an app that comes from North Korea, but you know what I mean. Well, at least I wouldn't.
I would say, of course, you wouldn't install an app that comes from China, but that doesn't stop people.
Yeah. Right.
Well, I don't know. A lot of people may say my phone came from there, so
yeah,
it's true.
I'm sure I can just put the app on there. Why not? Right?
It's a big difference.
There is a bit. Well, there's a big difference to us because we're used to hardware, software separation. But could the phone be, corrupt because it came from one of those nations? Yeah, sure, absolutely.
It could. So let's talk about this for a second. So there is examples of interception of hardware before delivery so that the hardware firmware can be adulterated and you now have a device that's a listening device. The government's done that to narcotics rings and other, bad organization syndicates. I'm sure governments have done it against each other. I think I remember some instances of that. But once you have the hardware, it's not a simple thing to update the hardware. I can't like throw a new chip in your phone once it's in your pocket.
Right.
But I can throw a new version of the software that completely changes what it does to go from benign to malevolent overnight.
Right.
Because we're telling you to patch all the time.
Right.
And so malign hardware, once it's in your hand, it's going to stay malign. They can't undo it because the chip is the chip.
Right.
And so it's more discoverable. Whereas I could have intervening versions of TikTok where the first version is safe and benign, and then an update comes and it does all the nefarious stuff. And then a new update comes and takes all that stuff out.
You're right. Wow.
So it's more of a quixotic supply chain attack that covers its tracks. And we know that the attacks that are the most powerful are the ones that are never detected.
Right.
Including this one.
I think you just gave somebody some...
It's Criminal Career Advice.
Okay, you ready? You ready? Breaking news. You ready for breaking news? Breaking news.
What's that?
This news article came out 13 minutes ago. So while we were talking, I mean, I normally am. I'm not listening to Patrick. I'm just surfing the web. But Fortinet 0-day attack linked to suspected Chinese hackers. So the what we were just talking about with patching the Fortinet, this article just came out, like I said, at 3:13, so like 14 minutes ago. A suspected Chinese hacking group has been linked to a series of attacks on government organizations exploiting Fortinet 0-day vulnerabilities, the one we just told you to patch for. But this one's actually really cool. As you can see, I get all giddy. Further analysis revealed that the attackers could use malware for cyber espionage, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's interesting. Exfiltration of data, of course, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Or opening remote shells when receiving maliciously crafted ICMP packets.
Oh.
So an ICMP packet, think like ping. So you can maliciously craft a ping packet to a firewall and get it to open up a reverse shell to you.
Wow.
Remote code execution. So it's got to be in the filter for ICMP where the issue is here. But it gets better than that. One of the incidences was discovered when a customer's FortiGate device shut down with a FIPS firmware integrity link error, rendering it inoperable. So the device stopped booting to prevent network infiltration, a standard practice for FIPS-enabled systems. So somebody was messing around with the operating system at the level of FIPS shutting it down.
I don't know what FIPS is, but what is
so
that?
FIPS has to deal with the encryption and integrity of data at the chip level. Let's put it that way.
Oh.
Usually required on all government systems. You have to have FIPS,
is it
certain level of FIPS
backdoor or something?
Security. No, it's more like if you're going to keep cryptographic keys, like let's say you have the MD5, a hash of the firmware sitting on a chip somewhere. And that way, every time the firmware for the operating system goes to boot, it can look at that hash and say, is the firmware still valid? Is it still what it was when it was deployed? If somebody could modify that, well, game over, right? I changed the firmware, I changed that MD5 hash, and now it just runs like normal. So what FIPS does is guarantees if you have this type of sort of encrypted data keeping integrity of the system, that it's just not accessible, and the system will shut down if somebody tries to access it.
Wow. All right, we'll add that link to the show notes.
Burning news right there.
And that was a nice little subversion away from our main story, which is this TikTok thing. We had reported before, or we talked about the report that TikTok was potentially spying on people that use it, and it wasn't considered safe. And now I don't know what other data the White House has about this, or Congress or whatever, but Congress and Senate and White House have now all agreed that this thing should be banned. Because they suspect that it is spying on citizens.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's what they say, of course.
Unlike Google.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's a U.S. company spying on citizens.
Yeah, that's perfectly okay.
Right.
And
that's the American way.
We don't want the Chinese spying on us. And, especially seeing our daughter's dance videos.
Right.
We don't want that. I don't know enough about it, right?
I don't know. Hey, is there any precedent for this? Have we ever banned an information product, an entertainment product, because it might abuse personal information?
Yeah.
That brings a good question, because is it censorship where the government's like, oh, listen, you shouldn't have this app because it's bad? Or is it really for protection? I think it's for protection because I know how bad the app is, but I could see a lot of people pulling the censorship card. Oh, I don't want my government censoring what type of apps I can put on my phone if I want, right?
Well,
People do
Cigarettes
stupid
aren't
things all the
illegal.
time. That's right.
We know
exactly.
those are dangerous. So we don't
Yep.
make those illegal. I'm of two minds because I get the motivation for it, but it's the precedent that I don't like.
Do we? We know the motivation though. I mean, for example, there are companies that would benefit from TikTok being banned. I'm looking at you, Facebook, Twitter, and
yeah, that's true too.
Other social media.
I think we know that someone told the senators and the Congress and the president that this, fire bad, and they're like going off and saying, yes, let's protect the people. But it's the ramifications. Okay, does that mean that they're gonna, ban the next application that comes from a country that's not an enemy, but is just they have the potential to gather information? I guess is it because it's the government, the Chinese government, that they suspect is gathering this information, and to what end? Did they?
Right. I guess we don't know. We don't know what we don't know right now, but we do know that there's some action that could be taken.
Well, the company that owns this is called ByteDance, I believe, and they deny that they're in cahoots with the Chinese government. But
right.
Being in China means they're in cahoots with the Chinese government, whether they like it or not.
They also said they would set up a firewall between their servers and the Chinese government or whatever, but they said that, I don't.
Yeah, but I think it's the China's 2017 National Intelligence Law. All of its citizens and businesses are required to assist in intelligence gathering and must share any data they have.
Wow. So there goes that idea.
So that's one of their national laws. So, I don't know that you can have a company there.
Right.
That, can keep that data private.
Well, let's make it a little bit more reasonable for people to understand. So if you sign up for TikTok, you're giving your phone number, your email address, your information, you're sharing videos, but those videos are out on the public domain.
Mm-hmm.
What else? What could they get from that they don't get from other sources?
The ability for you to click on whatever they feed you.
Yeah. Misinformation. Yeah.
Right.
And maybe them turn on the microphone of your phone when they want to and gather additional information.
Right. It's designed to record. Right. So.
Right. Because Dwayne and I just upgraded our phones just recently to iPhone 14s. And, we make no secret of the fact that we use iPhones. And I know we had a listener post about, Android making security things. I think we should talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
One of the things that we both did at great pain did not restore from backup.
At great pain.
Because it's a pain. It's real easy to just restore my cloud backup, and my phone will be, my old phone, new phone will be just like my old phone. But that means anything you downloaded that you shouldn't have the entire time you had that old phone, and all the times before that, if you restored from backup, there's still a potential for something bad to be in there. Whereas if you start fresh, you only install what you install going forward, and you have a much better chance of shaking off any badness that might have ended up there. So it's like a colonic for your digital life. You need to.
You're very scatological today. First it was flushing the toilet, and now it's a high colonic.
Maybe I'm backed up. Maybe
there's a problem there.
But it's about convenience. It's super convenient to just restore from backup. It's really hard to go through app after app after app. It takes a whole weekend typically to pick the apps that you want, and it makes you make some hard decisions. It's like going through your closet to decide what you're going to get rid of. But it's probably in your best interest. So I definitely recommend that. And we should talk about Android a little bit too once we're done with the TikTok thing.
By the way, I asked ChatGPT, are you using GPT-3 or GPT-4? And it says, as of my knowledge cutoff date of September 2021, the most advanced version of the GPT model released by OpenAI was GPT-3. So it's still using GPT-3. So there you go. As of this
maybe
recording.
You gotta subscribe to premium.
Yeah, maybe you do. I don't know. I haven't looked at it that much, to tell you the truth, but they announced it. We don't know if they're using it or how to use it. We don't know how to use it.
Yeah. All right. So short attention span theater. We talked about TikTok.
Yeah.
The government's going to do what the government's going to do. I think they're going to have a tough time.
Yeah.
Banning things and not having it had unintended consequences. But you might be right.
Well, there's the thing. They would force them to sell it too. That was the other option. Either you sell it to us or we ban it. I think that's it right now.
But if I were the Chinese, I'd call their bluff and say, okay, ban it.
Yeah.
Good
right.
luck.
Right.
Right.
Because now it's like, okay, are you gonna prosecute the people who download it?
Right. Yeah. How are you going to do that?
You can take it out of the store. That's probably the best way to do it, is take it out of the stores.
Right.
And
shut off, you could require all ISPs to shut off access to their servers, but
because you can't do eminent domain outside of your own country.
That's a good point.
So that's why I think it's a really weird space. I think maybe they should do an information campaign, public service announcement messages, the way they did, for cigarette smoking, to get the awareness of what it could do.
Mm-hmm.
One, that would be a great boon for people to understand why you shouldn't just install random applications you've never heard of, or hand your phone to an 8-year-old who gets to install random applications you've never heard of.
Mm-hmm.
But it would also maybe drive home the point, or you'd figure out that people just don't care. The average person probably doesn't care whether the Chinese government can listen to their conversations around the dinner table, because they don't have a job that matters in that case.
Yeah.
Did I bring the mood down?
Yeah. Wow. Jeez. Thanks.
I just want to go hang myself now. Sorry.
Yeah, thanks, Patrick. Oof.
Thanks,
Don't
Patrick.
Right. Step away from the light.
Okay.
If you're done on your rant, geez. We had a listener pop in and say, "Hey, listen, you guys be hating on all the Android stuff."
Oh yeah,
have you guys
I saw this.
Have you taken a look at Graphene OS? And and I'll be honest, I haven't looked at it. Just because Android has been such a dumpster fire from a security standpoint, I usually just avoid it. But looking at it, it's actually really cool. One of the things that gave it props just on its on its opening page right here. I mean, it is an open source project, which is cool. But the other thing is Graphene OS will never include either Google Play services or other implementations of Google services like MicroG. So the fact that they removed the Play Store probably makes them infinitely more secure than any Android build out there. But I do have several Android phones here I use for reverse engineering and that sort of stuff. I will download this. I'll play with it and rip it apart. Take a look at it.
So the problem they're going to have is that Apple is the leader in the phone space. They're the number one spot. They're the Coke to the Diet Pepsi that is Android right now. Typically the only way that Apple will lose that place is if they make a mistake, if they have a security scandal, if they have vulnerabilities, and they're running as fast as they can towards security in most cases. Occasionally they'll do something stupid or stumble, but for the most part, they've been pretty good. So Android has to not only try to keep up, but they have to wait for a stumble to pass them. I don't know if this Graphene OS is going to be enough. It might be a way to run Android securely, but it's probably not a way for the world to run Android securely, because I don't think it's going to get adopted everywhere. Does this mean that it doesn't have a store that you can get anything from?
Did you check out the website and check it out?
I have not. I'm
looking at it right now.
It says no Google apps or services. Graphene OS will never include either Google Play services or another implementation of Google services like MicroG. It's possible to install Play services as a set of fully sandboxed apps without special privileges via our sandboxed Google Play compatibility layer. See the facts section for more details on that. So, but you know what though? That's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. I guess I'm approaching it from, can Google retake this place? Well, if you're excluding Google services, then Google's part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think
I'll go along with that.
I think it's a way, based on what I've heard, and briefly, it's probably a way for you, an individual, to run an Android and have a secure environment.
Right.
I don't know that it's going to make Android secure for the masses.
No, until Google buys them. But yeah.
But why? Well, that defeats the whole purpose, though. But if there's a way that people can set up their own, for lack of a better word, stores where they can install apps, in those stores, I'm thinking of the federated model, like the Mastodon model. If people can set up their own servers for their own apps, and if somebody has a link to not the app store, but a link to an app at a particular server, now you've got, let's just back up a little bit. One of the good things about having one company manage an app store, and I think, Patrick, you were alluding to this, is that they play the gatekeeper, right? They can look at your code. They can run analysis on your code. They can make sure it's not going to do anything to, to mess up the user's phone or experience, because that's the last thing they want.
Doesn't mean they're not going to make mistakes, but they're highly motivated to minimize those mistakes.
That's right. And you got to look at motivation. You got to look at incentives. The Google Play Store is a little bit later to the party in doing that, but they still try to do it. But it's more likely that things can get by the Google Play Store than the Apple Store. So if you now take Google App Store out of it and have these federated, for lack of a better word, a decentralized app stores that, you could just have a company, right? And you have a company app store, and you're only going to be able to run anything that you can that our developers have written for our company, right? That's a possibility, and I love that idea.
Yeah. Especially for devices that are going to be used in the field, but that eliminates the bring your own device, which is something that most organizations have accepted.
Right. And then the other idea is to have versions of these applications that are not in the Play Store that are somewhere else that can be federated. Yeah.
It sounds like the internet.
Interesting. Yeah, it sounds like the internet, exactly. And let's hope. I wish them good luck. I hope they can figure out the problems and get people off of the corporate wheel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wasn't a big Apple fan for a long time, but they got religion about security, and they really haven't looked back. So, I know that if we're doing an operation and we see iPhones, we're less enthused than if we see Android. So maybe this will help fix that, but it hasn't.
Less enthused or less concerned?
Well, we want to get in, so it's.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
The most boring operation is one where we don't get anything.
I see.
And luckily, those are very few and far between.
Yeah. So if they all have iPhones, you're like, damn.
Yeah, well, then we'll have to go after the Wi-Fi.
All right, guys. Any last words before we hang up?
Yeah, the only other thing I'm noticing here when I'm digging through, because I was like, I'll take some of my old devices and maybe I'll put this Graphene OS on here. It says Graphene OS officially supports the following devices: Pixel 4, 4a, 5, 5a, 6, 6a, 7, 7 Pro. That's it.
So only Google phones. That's really funny.
Right?
No Samsung, no.
Is there a note at the very bottom? Owned by Google.
No, wait a minute. Maybe. Are you sure that isn't just of the Google phones? These are the only ones that otherwise you could.
I've dug in, and there's another section that says which devices did Graphene OS support in the past, and they have Samsung Galaxy S4, Nexus 5, Nexus 9, Nexus 5, Nexus 5, 6P.
All right, so Samsung,
and then a bunch of the older Pixels. Right. So, but other than that, it looks like the current version only supports your device if it has the word Pixel in front of it.
Oh, well.
So I'll keep digging, and if I find that's erroneous, I will let you know. But
okay,
yeah, that could be an issue.
And we'll try to keep track of that. That's an interesting. We appreciate that that heads up. And anytime people want us to talk about something, just interact with us, and we look forward.
Let us know.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, guys.
I think it's about that time.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time.
Always good, gentlemen.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.